At 75, Victoria Principal finally talks about Paul Newman, and she has some lovely things to say. Victoria Principal was born as Vicky Ree Principal on January 3, 1950, way over in Fukuoka, Japan. She became one of the most famous TV stars from the late 1900s, like someone everyone watched. She was a woman whose beauty, strong will, and smart business ideas made her a famous person for a long time. She was born into a family where her dad was in the military, so she moved all over the place when she was little. This moving around made her understand the whole world better, helped her be very flexible, and made her look like a calm, worldly person. These early years spent in places like England, Puerto Rico, and the United States also showed her many different ways of life and many people. This really boosted her interest and strength, which became big parts of her adult life and her personality. Even when she was very young, Victoria was serious and liked to do things on her own, which was kind of special. She started showing off clothes and poses as a model when she was a teenager, but she really wanted to act more than anything. After she was in a very bad car crash when she was 18, which almost killed her and made her spend months getting better and thinking about her future, she made a big decision. She chose to move to a huge place, New York City, where she went to a famous acting school called the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts American Branch and worked super hard to get good at acting. That mix of following rules and wanting to be famous worked out very quickly for her. It paid off fast. In just a few years, she got her very first big movie part in the life and times of Judge Roy Bean in 1972, acting right next to a huge star, Paul Newman. Because she was so good, she was nominated for a Golden Globe Award. This made all of Hollywood immediately notice the new young actress with her amazing looks and a powerful way of being on camera. The biggest, most important part of Victoria Principal's acting life came in 1978 when she got the role of Pamela Barnes Ewing on the huge TV show Dallas. The show became a massive hit everywhere, and Victoria's character, the kind, honest, and very emotional Pamela, was like the nice person compared to all the selfish greed and fighting for power that the rest of the Ewing family did. Every week, millions of fans watched, not just to see the show's crazy surprises, but also to follow Pamela's story through sad times, hopes, and how she grew as a person. Victoria and her co-star Patrick Duffy, who played Bobby Ewing, had such a natural and loved connection on screen that they became one of the most iconic TV couples of their time. Everyone loved them together. Her acting showed that she could play really deep feelings in a quiet way, and she became the heart of the show for almost 10 years, which is a very long time. But Victoria Principal never wanted to only have one job or one way of doing things. Even when she was super famous for Dallas, she was secretly starting a second, just as successful career. This time, she became a businesswoman who started her own line of beauty products and skincare. In 1989, she started Principal Secret, a skincare company that came from her longtime interest in being healthy, taking care of yourself, and feeling strong about yourself. The brand was built on her idea that true beauty starts when you take care of yourself from the inside out, and it became a massive, huge success. Victoria was very involved and everyone trusted her because she was the boss and the person talking about the products, which made her one of the first celebrities to switch to the beauty world, not just as a pretty face, but as a knowledgeable and dedicated business leader. Her company did great for many, many years, making her a trailblazer for all the celebrity beauty brands we see everywhere today. Victoria Principal, who everyone knew from her famous role on Dallas, didn't stop after conquering the world of television. She also made a big mark as a writer, publishing books that sold tons and tons of copies. Throughout the 1980s, Principal turned her love for beauty, health, and taking care of herself into a series of very important books that lots of people all over the world read. Her first book, The Body Principle, in 1983, gave amazing new ideas about working out, eating well, and total self-care, helping women live healthier lives long before wellness became a popular trend. Building on how well that book did, she released The Beauty Principle in 1984, which was a guide that mixed smart skincare advice with helpful tips on how to look good, dress well, and feel confident. This showed her belief that beauty really starts inside you. In 1987, she followed up with the diet principle, which gave readers careful ways to manage their weight, think about food, and live a healthy life that they could stick with for a long time. Many years later, in 2. 1 Principle went back to writing with Living Principle, a very personal book that talked about more than just physical health, focusing on being mentally and emotionally well too, sharing her ideas on having a balanced and happy life. Her success with books is just as important as her fantastic career in acting and entertainment. Principal was nominated for a Golden Globe Award twice, which shows how long-lasting her talent and influence have been in Hollywood. Through her books and her awards, she has inspired many people over the years not just to look their best, but to truly feel their best, proving her impact goes way beyond just the TV screen. Besides being famous in TV and business, Victoria has always been known for her kind heart and all the charity work she does. She started the Victoria Principal Foundation for Thoughtful Existence, a group that helps with environmental issues, taking care of animals, and offering help when disasters happen. These are 3 areas she has always cared deeply about and been passionate about for a long time. Whether she's helping injured wildlife get better, fighting to protect the oceans, or giving help to people after a big natural disaster, she has used her money and her fame to make important and meaningful differences far away from Hollywood. Victoria Principal's private life has always gotten a lot of attention from the public, partly because she had such a famous job in Hollywood, especially her long-running part as Pamela Barnes Ewing on Dallas. Over the years, she has gotten married and divorced 2 times, and she chose not to have kids, focusing instead on her job, her personal hobbies, and all her amazing charity work. Sometimes her boyfriends or husbands were people she worked with, which made things very interesting and gossipy for her fans and the news. One of her first and most talked about relationships happened while she was making the movie The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean in 1972, when she dated the actor Anthony Perkins. This relationship was especially notable because people said it was the first time Perkins had dated a woman, which made their time together a really unique and memorable part of both of their personal stories. Principal's first husband was a writer and producer named Christopher Skinner, a man she met in 1978 while she was working on Dallas. Skinner, who mostly worked behind the scenes as a writer and producer, acted in the show for a short time, and that is when they ran into each other and met. They connected quickly and strongly, and soon they decided to get married, which started the first big marriage chapter of Principal's life. Their marriage, though it seemed hopeful and full of promise at first, did not last very long at all. In just 2 years, they realized they could not fix their differences, which led her to file for divorce in 1980. The divorce officially ended in 1981, closing this first attempt at finding a long-lasting partner and teaching Principal a lot about relationships while her career was just taking off. After her divorce from Skinner, Principal started a very public and famous romance with the English-Australian singer and songwriter, Andy Gibb. The 2 of them first met on The John Davidson Show in January 1981, and they immediately clicked, grabbing the attention of all their fans and the news reporters. Their relationship was special not just because they liked each other, but also because they worked together too. They recorded a song together called All I Have to Do Is Dream, which became a decent hit song on the pop charts, reaching number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100 in September 1981. This recording was important for a couple of reasons. It was the very last song Andy Gibb ever released before he sadly passed away too young, and it was the only song Victoria Principal ever recorded. Even though they seemed like a perfect couple, their romance ended quickly, breaking up in March 1982. The main reason they split up was because Andy Gibb was getting more and more addicted to drugs and struggling a lot. In later interviews, especially with People magazine, Principal spoke very honestly about the hard times she went through then, saying, "Our breakup happened and was caused by Andy's drug use." She added, "I tried everything I could to help him, but then I told him he had to pick between me and his drug problem," showing how much she cared but also how strong her personal boundaries were. Gibb's sad death in 1988 just made that part of her life feel even more fragile and sad and left a lasting, emotional mark on her heart. In 1983, Principal's personal life got much more stable and calm when she met Dr. Harry Glassman, a very well-known plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. Their connection grew slowly and strongly, and the couple got married on June 22, 1985 in Dallas, Texas, by which time Principal had already played Pamela Barnes Ewing on Dallas for 7 years, the role that had made her famous name everyone knew. Their marriage gave her a feeling of safety and a good partner that she hadn't found in her earlier relationships. Living in Beverly Hills, the couple stayed together for more than 20 years, dealing with the struggles of having very public jobs, being watched by the media, and growing up together. However, in May 2006, Principal filed for divorce, saying that they had problems they couldn't fix. Even though the marriage ended, Principal spoke nicely about their time together, saying, "We have had a loving relationship for over 20 years." The divorce was finalized in December 2006, closing a very long chapter in her life, but leaving her with the wisdom and strength she gained from a long, committed partnership. At 75, Victoria Principal, the actress and business person everyone knows best as Pamela Barnes Ewing from Dallas, has finally opened up and started talking about her quiet past with the legendary Hollywood star, Paul Newman. Even though she has always been very private and careful about what she says about her personal life, Principal is now speaking honestly about a friendship that really changed her forever. Paul was amazing not just as an actor but as a person, a human being, she thinks back and says. He had this super powerful way of drawing people in like a magnet, and yet he was also very humble and gentle, which was rare in Hollywood. Being near him was inspiring, it made you feel small in a good way, and sometimes it was just overwhelming. Her words show not just how much she loved Newman's acting, but also the huge effect he had on the people who were close to him personally. Principal shares stories about the first times they knew each other, a time when both of them were trying to handle the exciting ups and stressful downs of becoming famous in the movie world. "I first met Paul on a movie set," she remembers. "He had this easy charm, the kind that didn't need any effort at all. Everyone naturally wanted to be around him, but he always made you feel like you were the most important person in the room, like you were the only one there. I remember thinking, this man isn't just talented, he's one of a kind, a rare gem." Her memory highlights the mix of being professional, charming, and truly kind that made Newman special, making him a loved person both on and off camera. In her memories, Principal also talks about the real person behind the famous Hollywood name, stressing that while Newman was adored by tons of people for his movies, it was his genuine truthfulness that stuck with her the most. "Paul didn't just pretend to be characters, he lived with real honesty," she says. "He had a kind of moral compass about him that you could almost feel. He cared deeply about people, about the world around him, and about making sure he left a good mark on everything. That's the kind of influence that stays with you forever, long after the cameras stop filming." These comments show Principal's lasting respect for Newman, not just as a co-star or a big celebrity, but as a man with strong values and great character, whose importance went way beyond just movies. Principal's sharing of these stories comes at a time when people are still watching and reading about Newman's life and career, reminding the world of all the different amazing sides to his legacy. She speaks openly that working with him taught her lessons and made her think about herself a lot. "Being around Paul made me want to be better, not just as an actress, but as a person, a human being," she admits. "He had a way of encouraging you to be excellent without ever being too bossy or demanding. You could feel his support even if he didn't exactly say it, and in that atmosphere, you learned how to find your own strength and your own voice." Looking at it this way, Principal isn't just telling her personal story, but also showing how much good inspiration and real relationships can do in the often fake world of Hollywood. Finally, Principal talks about the slightly sad and happy feelings that come from remembering things about Newman. Even though a lot of time has passed and both of them had lives full of their own wins and challenges, she says she is thankful for the bond they shared. "I will always keep the memories I had with Paul safe in my heart," she reflects kindly. "There is a kind of magic in knowing you have met someone whose spirit is bigger than life, someone who leaves a mark on the way you see the world. Paul was that special person for me, and I think that's why everyone remembers him with such high respect." Her words are a beautiful tribute and a true story, reminding fans and admirers that behind every movie legend is a deep human story full of friendships, influence, and lasting impact. By sharing these private thoughts at 75, Victoria Principal is not only honoring Paul Newman's memory, but also letting the public see the man behind the famous stories, an amazing artist, a Kai. Indie soul and a person whose presence changed lives both in the movies and in real life. Through her honest recollections, Principal lets fans catch a glimpse of a side of Newman that few people ever saw, capturing the true feeling of a legendary friendship that went beyond fame and lasted in quiet, very important ways. I've waited a long time to talk about this, she finishes. Not because I wanted to keep it a secret, but because some things are just too special to rush out and say right away. Paul was one of those things.